I was about to get married when my 25-year-old daughter confessed she was pregnant with my fiancé's baby. 2 years later, she's a single mom begging for my help. My life wasn't always a complicated mess of betrayal and heartbreak. Before everything fell apart, I was Sarah Thompson, a 52-year-old marketing consultant who had finally found her second chance at happiness after a painful divorce from my high school sweetheart, David. We'd been married for 28 years before he left me for a younger woman, which had already been devastating enough. Mark Henderson entered my life 3 years after my divorce. He was different from David, stable, kind, attentive. A successful real estate developer 10 years my senior, he seemed like the perfect partner. Sophisticated, well-traveled, and seemingly devoted to me. We met at a charity gala, and from the moment he approached me, I felt something different. He wasn't just another smooth-talking businessman. He listened. He cared. My daughter Sophia had always been my pride and joy. A fiercely independent woman who graduated top of her class from Columbia, she was building an impressive career in digital marketing. We were close, but not in a suffocating way. Monthly dinners, occasional weekend visits, long phone calls about her work and my dating life. She'd always been protective of me after my divorce, skeptical of any man who came into my life. When I first introduced Mark to Sophia, I expected her typical analytical approach. She'd grill him, assess his intentions. Instead, she was surprisingly warm. They seemed to hit it off immediately, discussing business trends and sharing jokes. I was thrilled. My daughter's approval meant everything to me. The wedding planning was in full swing. I'd chosen a beautiful vineyard venue in Napa, with soft autumn colors and an intimate guest list. Everything seemed perfect. Mark was helping me with details, showing more excitement than I'd expected from a man his age. He wanted everything to be special, memorable. Looking back, the signs were there. The lingering glances between Mark and Sophia that I'd dismissed. Their inside jokes. The way they'd sometimes text each other separately from our group conversations. But love makes you blind, and I was determined to see only the good. The day everything crashed down was a Tuesday. I remember every excruciating detail. I was at home, surrounded by wedding fabric swatches and floral arrangement sketches. Sophia arrived unannounced, her professional demeanor completely shattered. Her usually immaculate makeup was streaked, her hands shaking. "Mom," she said, her voice a broken whisper, "I'm pregnant. And the father is Mark." The words hit me like a physical blow. For a moment, I thought I was hallucinating. My fiancé. My daughter. An affair. The mathematical impossibility of the betrayal was almost comical. But Sophia wasn't finished. The story came out in painful, jagged pieces. It had started months earlier, during a business conference where Mark and Sophia were both speaking. A moment of vulnerability, a shared drink, and then a series of calculated encounters. Mark had been grooming her, manipulating her emotional vulnerabilities. "He told me we had a connection," Sophia said, her voice hollow. "That you wouldn't understand. That we were meant to be." The wedding was cancelled, of course. Mark's attempts to explain were met with cold, furious silence. He tried calling, texting, even showing up at my apartment. But I was done. My lawyer sent a clear message: stay away. Sophia's pregnancy progressed, and with it came a complex emotional landscape. She was terrified, ashamed, angry. Her career was temporarily derailed. The marketing firm where she worked was understanding, but the gossip was relentless. A workplace scandal involving her own pregnancy with her mother's fiancé became fodder for office whispers. I could have abandoned her. Many would have. But despite the betrayal, she was still my daughter. Slowly, painfully, we rebuilt our connection. I helped her find a new apartment, supported her medically, emotionally. We went to therapy together, individually, trying to understand how this could have happened. Ethan was born on a crisp autumn morning, exactly 1 year after the day my world collapsed. From the moment I held him, something shifted. He was innocent of his father's sins. A beautiful, perfect child who deserved love, not judgment. Mark disappeared completely. No child support, no acknowledgement. Through legal channels, we discovered he had a history of similar behavior, targeting younger women, manipulating emotional boundaries. But proving anything legally was challenging. 2 years have passed. Sophia has rebuilt her career, now working as a consultant, with more flexibility to care for Ethan. I'm a full-time grandmother, more involved than I ever expected to be. We've created a little family unit, strong and resilient. The betrayal nearly destroyed us. But in healing, we found something unexpected, an unbreakable bond. Sophia and I are closer now than we've ever been. We understand each other in ways we never did before. Ethan is our shared joy, our collective hope. Life rarely follows the script we imagine. Sometimes its most profound gifts come disguised as its most painful moments. We're living proof of that. 5 years have passed since that devastating day when my world imploded. 5 years of healing, of rebuilding, of understanding that family is both a choice and a complicated inheritance. Ethan is now a vibrant 5-year-old, all wild curls and boundless energy. He looks nothing like Mark, thankfully. Instead, he is Sophia's determined chin and my mother's bright green eyes. Sometimes when he laughs, I see glimpses of the pure, uncomplicated joy that trauma can't touch. Our family dynamic has become something extraordinary. I'm more than just a grandmother, I'm Sophia's primary support system, her co-parent, her confidant. We've transformed our pain into a fortress of love around Ethan, ensuring he never feels the weight of his complicated origin story. Life wasn't easy in those initial years. Sophia struggled with trust, not just with men, but with herself. She went through therapy, support groups for young single mothers, and countless nights of self-reflection. Her career took a hit initially, but she's now a partner in a progressive digital marketing firm, known for her resilience and innovative thinking. The story of Mark became a cautionary tale. Through legal investigations triggered by our initial confrontation, we discovered a pattern of predatory behavior. 3 other women came forward with similar stories, younger professionals he'd manipulated and abandoned. While it didn't undo our personal trauma, there was a sense of validation. We weren't alone. Mark disappeared completely. Last we heard, he'd moved to another state, working in a smaller real estate firm. No child support, no acknowledgement of Ethan's existence. Our lawyer advised against pursuing him legally, the emotional cost would outweigh any potential financial gain. My own journey of healing has been profound. I've learned that forgiveness isn't about forgetting, but about releasing the toxic energy that keeps you trapped. I dated casually, but never seriously. My primary relationship is with Sophia and Ethan, they are my world now. We've created our own definition of family. Every Sunday is our family day, usually spent at my house, with elaborate brunches, board games, and Ethan running between us, filling the space with laughter. My ex-husband David has even somewhat reconciled, becoming an occasional grandfather figure to Ethan. Technology has been both a blessing and a challenge. Sophia uses co-parenting apps, maintains strict digital boundaries, and has become an advocate for women who've experienced similar betrayals. She's spoken at conferences, written articles, turned her personal tragedy into a platform for empowerment. Ethan knows a carefully curated version of his story. He knows he was born from love, that families come in all shapes and sizes. We've been transparent without being brutal, protecting his emotional landscape while ensuring he understands his origins with age-appropriate honesty. The most unexpected outcome? The strength of our bond. Sophia and I are closer than we ever were before the betrayal. We've seen each other at our most vulnerable, supported each other through impossible moments. Our relationship transcended the traditional mother-daughter dynamic. We're partners, survivors, teammates. Financial stability was another journey. I used part of my retirement savings to help Sophia establish herself. She's now not just stable, but thriving. Her marketing consultancy specializes in helping women-led businesses, a direct result of her personal transformation. We've learned that healing isn't linear. There are still moments, a triggering conversation, an unexpected memory, that can send us spiraling. But we've built resilience. We have a network of therapists, support groups, and close friends who understand our unique story. Ethan is thriving. He's in kindergarten now, already showing signs of his mother's intelligence and my stubborn determination. He knows he's loved, completely and unconditionally. That's our greatest victory. Recently, Sophia received an award for young entrepreneurs. As she stood on that stage, Ethan sitting proudly in the front row with me, I realized something profound. Our greatest revenge wasn't legal battles or public exposure. It was living well. It was transforming pain into purpose. Our story isn't just about betrayal. It's about resilience. About choosing love over bitterness. About creating family not through blood or traditional structures, but through unwavering commitment and profound understanding. We are not victims. We are survivors. We are family. 10 years have passed since that life-altering moment when Mark's betrayal shattered everything I thought I knew about love, family, and trust. A decade of transformation, healing, and unexpected twists that no one could have predicted. Ethan is now 10, a precocious, remarkably empathetic 5th grader who has become the unexpected center of our family's universe. He knows more about his origin story now, not through dramatic revelations, but through honest, age-appropriate conversations that have become our family's hallmark of communication. But life, as always, had more surprises in store. 3 years ago, something extraordinary happened. Mark's elderly mother, Margaret, reached out to us. Not to defend her son, but to make amends in the only way she knew how. Margaret was dying of cancer when she contacted Sophia. Her letter was a raw, unfiltered confession of generational dysfunction. Mark, she revealed, had been a product of his own traumatic childhood, a pattern of manipulation and emotional abuse that stretched back generations. She shared documents, therapy notes, family history that painted a complex picture of Mark's psychological landscape. Not to excuse his actions, but to provide context. Mark himself had been a victim of generational trauma, sexually abused by a family member as a child, never receiving proper therapy or support. The revelation didn't change what happened. It didn't minimize the pain Mark caused. But it added a layer of understanding that was both horrifying and somehow healing. Sophia, with her background in psychology and personal healing, saw an opportunity. Instead of anger, she chose empathy. She began researching generational trauma, how unhealed wounds can perpetuate cycles of abuse. Margaret's final wish was to meet Ethan once before she died. After extensive discussions and professional counseling, we agreed. The meeting was supervised, brief, but profound. An old woman, frail and broken, meeting the grandson of the son who had caused so much pain. Margaret didn't ask for forgiveness. She simply wanted to acknowledge Ethan's existence, to see the child who represented both a wound and a potential for healing. Ethan, with the emotional intelligence that continually amazes us, was kind but reserved. He understood the complexity of the moment without fully comprehending its depth. My career took an unexpected turn as well. Inspired by our journey, I became a family mediator specializing in complex family dynamics. My personal experience became professional expertise. I help families navigate betrayal, separation, and reconstruction, turning personal pain into a mechanism for healing. Sophia's career has skyrocketed. Her digital marketing firm now focuses heavily on mental health awareness in workplace environments. She's become a sought-after speaker, sharing not just her professional insights, but occasionally her personal story of resilience. Our family structure remains unconventional but strong. We've created a support network that extends beyond traditional boundaries. Ethan has multiple parental figures, myself, Sophia, and a carefully selected group of male mentors who provide the positive masculine guidance we consciously sought to include in his life. Margaret passed away 6 months after meeting Ethan. Her final act was to establish a trust fund for Ethan's education, along with a series of letters to be opened at different stages of his life. A complex inheritance of both pain and potential healing. We discovered through her documents that Mark had a history of psychological issues that were never properly addressed. Multiple therapists had warned about his manipulative behaviors, but in the pre-#MeToo era, such warnings were often dismissed or minimized. Ethan is thriving. He's in therapy, not because something is wrong, but as a proactive measure to understand his emotions and family history. He's learning emotional intelligence as a core life skill, not a reactive strategy. He knows about Mark, but Mark is not a central figure in his narrative. He's a cautionary footnote, not a defining character. Ethan's primary male role models are carefully chosen: counselors, family friends, coaches who represent healthy masculinity. Our family has become something of a case study. Academic researchers have approached us, interested in how we transformed a narrative of betrayal into one of healing and growth. Sophia has collaborated on research papers about generational trauma and resilience. The most unexpected outcome? A sense of profound gratitude. Not for the pain we experienced, but for the growth it catalyzed. We've transformed a moment of maximum vulnerability into a platform of strength. Margaret's final gift to us wasn't just the trust fund or the documents. It was a complete picture of how hurt can be transmitted through generations, and how it can be stopped. Ethan represents that stopping point. A child born from betrayal, being raised with radical honesty, emotional intelligence, and an abundance of love. Our story isn't about revenge. It's about evolution. About breaking cycles. About choosing understanding over bitterness. We are not defined by what was done to us. We are defined by how we respond.